Alright, so I admit there's one expense I did leave out, and that's because you should not incur this expense unless you're an idiot like I am. Alright, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to Monument Auto. My name is Nate. I'm just going to do a quick vlog today to talk about my 1-year ownership review for this car. So I've owned the ML63 AMG for a little over 1 year now, and during that time I've gotten a lot of comments about how expensive it must be to own an old, high mileage, performance, luxury SUV like this. So today I wanted to talk about the reliability of this car over the last year and go over all the regular maintenance costs as well as the kind of unexpected repairs I've had to make over the last year. So starting off with the reliability, I'm pretty happy with how this car has held up over the last year, especially considering the fact that Alex Palmieri from LegitStreetCars described this M156 engine as being the least reliable AMG engine ever built. And so when I bought this car, I was aware of, all its potential issues. The head bolt issue that can cause catastrophic engine damage, the premature camshaft and lifter wear, as well as a handful of other engine issues that this car could possibly have. And so far I've been pretty impressed because I've only run into really one issue, and that was that the engine was running a little bit lean when I first got it. So stupidly, I took it to the dealership first, and I kid you not, they quoted me $3,800 for a new intake manifold, which of course I was not going to do without getting a second opinion. So I took it to a local shop, and they found issues with the air boxes, the intake air boxes and air filters. And so one of the sides was missing an air filter, and the other one didn't have the correct set of air filters, which allowed, excess air to get into the engine. And so they replaced both the air boxes as well as both filters on each side, as well as both mass airflow sensors, and that cleared up the issue for like 1,000 miles. And then the check engine light came back on with the same lean code. So I took it back to them, and they found that the PCV system, or the PCV valve hose, whatever, was faulty. So they replaced that, and that was pretty cheap. And now it's been another 1,000 miles, and the check engine light has not come back on. And besides that original lean code, I haven't had any other issues with this engine. It's never not started, it's never left me stranded, it's never overheated or anything like that, so far so good. And that was the only kind of unexpected repair that I've had to do over the last year for this car, so not bad overall. As far as maintenance goes, the only thing I really had to do was an oil change, and with that oil change I did a ceramic coating additive to try to decrease engine wear, try to mitigate the camshaft issue possibly. I don't know if that's possible, but and then I also did an engine flush beforehand to try to kind of get out any gunk that might have been in the engine, because I don't really know the history of this car. And that was the only normal yearly maintenance item that I did. That was about 5,000 miles after purchase, and I've only driven another 3,500 since then. And then I did do other preventative maintenance that I wouldn't necessarily consider part of a regular year of ownership. So I replaced the spark plugs and the fuel injectors as preventative maintenance, because I don't know the history of this engine, and so I just wanted it to be kind of running as best it could. And so now I know the status of it. They have been replaced. I know it's in good shape. And then I also replaced the transmission fluid and filter because there was some rough shifting going on, and that fluid was disgusting, so it's good I did that. And that helped a little bit. It's still a little rough, but I'm going to leave it alone for now. I replaced the power steering fluid because it was groaning a little bit, and also that fluid was disgusting. And that did help the groaning. I do think I'll need a new power steering pump in the next year or so, but it does the job and doesn't make too much noise right now. And then I got new tires for the car because there were only winter tires on it when I purchased it from Copart, and I didn't want to be driving around on winter tires, the whole season. They were also not quite the right size for the car. They did the job, but it rubbed a little bit on the inner fender well because they were not, you know, manufacturer spec. And then what else did I do? Oh, I also got a coolant flush done because the coolant, you know, hadn't been changed in a while and definitely needed changing. I didn't feel like doing that myself because I don't like dealing with a bunch of fluids that I then have to get rid of. It's just kind of a pain. I'll do mechanical stuff any day, but fluids are annoying. I think that's it for regular maintenance and the one, you know, check engine light repair. Overall, the lien code diagnosis and repair was $1,000, and then the oil change plus the additives was like $200, and then the tires were $600. Other fluids like power steering and transmission fluid were a couple hundred, I want to say. I'll put this all up on the screen. And then actually the biggest expense for this car is the gas, and I guess that's not really surprising. I average about 17 miles per gallon, which in today's eco-friendly world is considered pretty bad, and that's driving as economically as I can. If I floor it, I get like 8 miles per gallon. And so I've spent probably, I calculated about $1,500 in gas, which is actually below the national average, but I drove significantly less than the national average this year. I only did about 8,500 miles, maybe 9,000, and the national average is more like 12 to 15, but I guess everyone's driving less in 2020 given the current pandemic. All right, so I admit there's one expense I did leave out, and that's because you should not incur this expense unless you're an idiot like I am. So I lost the only set of keys that I have for this car. So I had to get a new set of keys made, which was $1,200 at the dealership, and a gigantic waste of money because I'm an idiot. Oh, I did want to talk about all the things that are still kind of broken, and it's nothing major, but like I mentioned, the power steering pump does still groan a little bit, so I'll probably need to replace that within the next year. The transmission shifts a little bit rough from second to third when it's cold, but when it gets to operating temperature, it does totally fine, so I'm kind of just not worrying about it for right now. The rear hatch latch gets stuck, so if you open the door and it goes all the way up and then you press the button to electronically close it, it will not close because the latch is still in the open position. So you have to open the latch and then manually move the latch back to a neutral position so that the car doesn't think you're just still trying to open the door. I don't know if I explained that well, but the other kind of minor thing is that the front passenger fender flare has a little piece missing out of it, and I painted it, you know, without trying, so it doesn't look great. Alright, I think that about wraps it up for this video. Stay tuned for the next one, where I do an in-depth review of the ML63 AMG, kind of a quirks and features Doug Demuro style. I'll give you all the details, what I think of this car and what it's been like daily driving it over the past year. And if you did enjoy the video, please consider giving it a thumbs up and subscribing. And as always, till next time. Also, I'm going to be starting a basic car skills series on my channel. So if you're interested in learning more about basic car skills that I think everyone should have a decent grasp of, if you own a car, you should be able to take care of it, at least to some degree yourself. Then stay tuned for that. I should be putting out the first 1 or 2 videos this week.